And I think I see Paul Gerard.
Yes, sir.
I am Matthew Crawford. Hi, Gary.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good, how are you? I think I saw Matt Dable come in. Okay, and I see Dave Sanders. Dave, we do have what looks like a quorum. If you'd like to call the meeting to order, we can go ahead and do roll call if you'd like to proceed.
Let's call the meeting to order and take roll call. Absolutely, Paul. Let's do it.
Okay, we are on a delayed broadcast, but we are going to be broadcasting. I'm going to share my screen, and we'll go ahead and go through roll call. And we'll start when I can announce your name. Please confirm your attendance. Matt Dable.
Present.
Tony Royster.
Here.
Matthew Crawford sitting in for Matt Rudnick.
Present.
David Sanders.
Present.
Marlene Fonseca.
Here.
Jennifer Gondal sitting in for Paul Beachley.
Here.
Gary Glaze.
Here.
Gavin Kuhn sitting in for Chris Hammond.
Here.
Is there another JLMBC member who I did not call, or who I did not call, who's present? Hearing none, we do have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. And we can go to the public comments, item 2.
For those participating by phone, if you have a public comment, please announce yourself by pressing *6 and making a comment at this time. Hearing none, seeing none.
Hearing none, we can go to action item number 3, Committee Report 2224, Health Plan Service Request for Proposal, Evaluation and Recommendation.
So this is a bring back of our item from Monday. I brought the same exact report, the original report, before we started making modifications to it for your consideration. Just to quickly recap where we were at with this report, staff's the Health Review Committee had identified there was a number of conflicting items and confusion that clarification was needed. And since we revised this process, when we released the RFP, we are bound by the language within the RFP to be able to make changes or to talk and with each of the proposers to understand the conflict and understand the areas of confusion that need clarification to move forward. We're using the language that's identified in section 7.1 of each RFP of pre-award negotiations to be able to get that resolution, to get that clarification before we're able to move forward and go through with recommending an award for a contract with either RFP. So we're recommending a 2-step process. Under that 2-step process would be outlined as further these next steps. So the recommendation was to tentatively select all proposers as step 1, allow for the review committee and the personnel department to go and negotiate, get the clarification required and necessary to understand what is confusing with the proposals received. Then we would bring that result of the negotiation, that clarity, back to the JLMBC for discussion. The JLMBC could then at that point talk with each proposer and make a final recommendation, either the recommendation to continue with all 3 or to move forward in a different manner. That was the proposal by the review committee with the first action to tentatively select all 3 proposers. I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has.
Questions, comments, proposals, committee members?
I have a question, Paul.
Or Chair.
Yes, go. We recognize you, Ms. Marnie. Good afternoon.
And I apologize if this was discussed at the last meeting when we first discussed this. Is there a plan to go back and revise the verbiage on this that has created this issue?
So I think the prior discussion was a terminology discussion. So in the recommendation itself, and let's just go to the page 1 recommendation. The language that was here, we were going to change the word, or the proposal at the table was to change the word tentatively selected to provisionally. There can be any type of other change if you wanted to make a different motion, if you wanted to revise this language differently. The intent still is that this is a 2-step selection. Step 1 is to tentatively select or initially, and then step 2 would be to come back and make a final selection, which can be completely different than the selection made here.
Was there confusion with all 3 of these final selects, or?
Yes. So each proposal each proposal has conflict and confusing information within itself, and then also within how it would react with each other as far as the proposal. Specifically on the staff model, right? The staff model was created as an expecting of one proposal as a replacement. The proposal that was received as an additional option to be added to the existing staff model was something that was outside the box and where there's a lot of confusion and clarification. But each individual proposal, even on the network side for the Anthem proposal, I'm saying the word proposal a lot, has a lot of confusion and conflicting information within itself, where the Health Review Committee still needs to have answers and to understand what is trying to be proposed.
Can you explain to me what the difference in, I mean, because to me, it's not a huge difference between the word tentatively and provisionally, and how that's gonna avoid this in the future?
In the future, we will change the RFP process the next time we do this. But for this particular process, the issue lies within the way the language is written. So in section 7.1, this pre-award language, it uses the term successful proposer as the only one that can go through and negotiate the contract terms. So negotiate the pricing, the service level agreements, the requirements, everything within the proposal itself. This is the language that we have to go off of. So we're trying to fit our desired steps within this parameter.
Okay, that was actually my very first question. Okay. I think that's all my questions.
Thank you, Ms. Marlene. Yes,
I have a
Gavin?
question. Yes, thanks. I just want to be clear, Paul, on process, because I'm a process-driven guy. And my understanding, and if I'm wrong, please correct me, but this is strictly more of an internal process with the subcommittee, and the internal process allow them to go look at these providers, do their thing, come back and and this gives, by blessing this more or less, this would allow them to go do that. They would come back, and then this committee can either reject the whole thing and, for example, roll over the current contract for 2 years. It's got options at that point. It's not bound to any of the RPs or any of this language. That's my main concern, because if we make a vote on this, I don't want us bound by some action that precludes us. Sorry, my English is tough today. Precludes, maybe I need some little bourbon, Dave. Precludes us from being able to make a final decision, whatever direction we choose. So that's my main thing. I don't want things to tie our hands. So this is really like a subgroup on the left side, and then come back and give us, hey, we've looked at everything, this is what we think, and we can say, that's great, or it's full of crap, and we're going to do something different. So we haven't bound ourselves. Are you correct?
That is 100% correct. So this is a process matter. The review committee is going to come back with its findings and a recommendation. That recommendation could be to continue with all these three. It could be to do something different. It could be to cancel the whole process. JLMBC still has all those options available to it when this item comes back. JLMBC can move forward with the recommendation, make a different recommendation, not move forward with the recommendation at all. This is not binding the process or the JLMBC in any manner.
Okay, that's why I want to be very clear because I'm, like I said, I'm a process guy. That's my question, Dave.
Okay. Any other committee members have a question, comment, or recommendation or motion to make? Do we have a motion to move to the next step from anyone?
I can make a motion if Paul can scroll back up to the.
Oh, let me make it a little easier to read.
So given that this has now, the only motion we need to do is to adopt your recommendations at this point, right? Given the fact that it was renewed, there's no other motion that needs to be made to bring it back or. Correct?
I believe, Charles, can you confirm? I believe since it's brought back as consideration item on the agenda, it is a new light and you can just adopt the recommendations as written, if that's the direction you wanted to go.
Adopt the recommendation as.
So
Yeah,
I'd
you
like
can
to,
adopt the recommendation as drafted in the report.
I'll make that motion to adopt the recommendation.
Marlene, can I ask that they still take the word tentative out and put provisional, because tentative means it's like it's pre-selected. It's just a sore point me, man, just being my ADD, whatever you want to call it, stickiness. But I don't like the word tentative. If we could change that provisional, if that's okay in your motion, if you could correct your motion, that'd be great.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the recommendations with the word tentatively changed to provisionally, can be provisionally selected, and B and C. Do you need it more?
There's three total, so it'd be B, C, and D.
Right.
Everywhere it appears, yes, B, C, and D.
And then the last one would be to instruct the staff to report back to JLMBC with the results of the negotiation and the additional next steps, which would be E. Is that part of the motion too, as is?
Yes. So if you prefer me to make a motion to amend and then, or if you want to do it as accept the recommendations with the amendments.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I'll second. It's Gavin.
The motion's been made by Marlene and second by Mr. Gavin Kuhn. Paul, I guess we can start with the roll.
Sure. We will start.
Are there any other discussion? Is there any questions or do we have to that? I'm sorry. If not, let's go to roll for the motion.
I do have a discussion point, but let's do the vote first, Dave. I just have one last suggestion for next round on this. So I'll wait till the end though. Thank you.
Okay, Paul, we can do.
Then we'll go ahead.
Yes.
Sure. Thank you, sir. We'll go ahead with the vote. Matt Zabo.
Yes.
Matt votes aye. Tony Risser.
Aye.
Tony votes aye. Matt Crawford.
Aye.
Matt votes aye. I believe I saw Holly Wolcott come in. Holly Wolcott.
Aye.
Holly votes aye. David Sanders.
No.
Is that no, Dave?
That's a no.
No. Dave votes no. Marlene Fonseca.
Aye.
Marlene votes aye. Jennifer Gondal.
I know I'm pausing dramatically, Paul. I just want to hold up the process, apparently. Not really. I'm thinking of the best response. It's not that easy. Because I've been vacillating. I've been leaning no, and I'm trying to think about where I'm going on this. I'll stick with my original yes.
Jennifer
Right,
votes yes.
Paul, I know it's Friday afternoon, man.
Sorry. Gary Glaze.
No.
Gary votes no. Gavin Kuhn.
I'm gonna vote yes.
Gavin votes aye. 3 affirmative votes labor, 4 affirmative votes management. This time the motion passes.
Thank you, Paul. You had a discussion question, Gavin?
Yes, I do. This document has the word negotiation. And I'll be honest between you and me, I'm uncomfortable with the usage being a labor rep and negotiation council because the table, it's not really, I think there's a better word than negotiation, has a different connotation for future reference. It's really more of a dialogue between the parties because in order to negotiate, that's a different, your tentative agreement, you've already agreeing across the table. That's a different function than, working out the details of something and then bringing it back for approval. That's not really my full definition of negotiation. A little bit misleading. I think it misleads some of the committee members here too on the outcome of the document. So I highly recommend next time around, find a better word than negotiate is be my suggestion. That's it.
Understood. And again, going back to section 7.1, the term negotiate was there, and that's why it was used, but completely understood.
Thank you, Mr. Gavin Coons. Is there any other comments, discussion? Hearing none, that was the only agenda item for today. I'm sorry, number 4, request for future agenda items. Are there any? Hearing no additional requests for future agenda items, the next meeting scheduled date to be determined for a special meeting. I assume that's today's meeting. We are scheduled for our next regular meeting on June 2nd. Is that correct? That date is still standing? Okay. And hearing no other comments or motion?
One comment, David.
Yes, sir.
I just got an email today, finally, because I've been asking Chris's team, because I've been working as the alternate, to finally get their person from building trades back on joint labor manager and that would be Chad Baggio, who's taken Chris's position as building trades. So he sent an email finally to my urging. So he should be joining us before long. So when that process is completed, I will probably be stepping back. So I may or may not be here for the June meeting. Second meeting depends on how all this stuff gets processed and works out because it'll be noticed and all that changes and all that. So, but if I don't come back, it's just been a pleasure working with everybody because I'm retiring at the end of July and so I'm trying to work all my parts out to get everything functioning right. So I'm not left last minute scrambling, but I do appreciate working with everybody here. So like I say, I may or may not be here June 2nd. We'll just see what happens. I will remain as an alternate until I retire with Chad, and then he'll have to appoint an alternate at that point. I'll talk to him about that.
You will be sorely missed. And before we adjourn or after we adjourn, you can go have a bourbon if that's your choice. Hearing nothing else, we have a motion to adjourn, or do we just call for an adjournment here, Paul? Can I just do that?
Dave, you could just adjourn the meeting.
I'm calling, the meeting is now officially adjourned. You all have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Talk to soon. All
Thank
right,
you,
bye.
everyone. Bye.
Everyone.
Bye,
Have a
everyone.
good weekend, everybody.